let me first of all, you all have this in front of you, but there's a piece of information today that we're just announcing now. For the 6th consecutive year, Chicago is the #1 city in the United States for direct foreign investment. It's just out this morning, and what's encouraging, no other city's done 6 straight years, and we're the only U.S. city on the top 10 globally. We're ranked 5th. London is 1st, Paris, Singapore, Amsterdam, and the city of Chicago. It is the highest rating ever received for the city of Chicago of the 6 consecutive years. Every year we're in the top 20 or below, and the only U.S. city to accomplish that. In addition, as you can see in that data, both for 5 consecutive years, we are the #1 city for corporate relocations, and this morning off of the Japan trip, we announced a new corporate North American headquarters for DMG, Mori, that will be going to Bronzeville and that community, and it's a manufacturing job. And I'll be going to the IIT Institute, and I will just say one side note before I get to the main part of my remarks, that I do believe when you look at what the University of Illinois, UIC, is doing with the new engineering school, the Kaplan Center at IIT, the new Discovery Center at the Roosevelt property, and with U of C's new engineering school, 4,000 computer science and engineers on the south side. Mark my words, both Motor Row, Bronzeville, South Loop will become the new tech campus of the city of Chicago. Now, if you look at that, both on employment, relocations, investment, return on venture capital, Chicago leads the country in many areas. Biggest drop of unemployment of any of the Big Five in the last 10 years. Biggest drop of unemployment of the Big 10 cities in last year alone. Now, I think we can all conclude that did not happen because I have a winning personality. Don't laugh so hard. It happened because we started, when I became mayor, I asked McKinsey and Brookings to come in with a study. And I said to them, what do we got to do to make sure the next 10 years are not a lost set of years? In the end of the day, a lot of the argument when I ran for election was about a fiscal policy. A fiscal policy is not an economic policy. It's a tool in the toolbox, not the toolbox. We had to have a growth strategy, which we had not had. And in the end of the day, they marked some things the same way that A.T. Kearney, when they rated Chicago, 2nd most competitive economy in North America, 7th in the world. And what's interesting, we were 7th on theirs, we were 8th on IBM, 9th on The Economist magazine. So 3 independent studies. We're the only city on that top 10 list that is not that country's either financial or political capital. So the basic economic strategy that they identified, which we also identified, what I call the 5 T's: talent, training, transportation, technology, and transparency. And if you invest in those 5 things, you can grow your economy and ensure that you are actually not only recruiting companies, but having all the growth that you need to help solve and address other challenges and meet that future. City of Chicago, outside of Boston, #1 city with more universities than any other city in the United States. We graduate 145,000 BAs every year. Boston, 150. If you drew a 150-mile radius around the city of Chicago, more level 1 universities than any other city in the globe. And you know, from Madison to Ann Arbor to South Bend to what happens here locally, we are growing in actually BA and greater population. In fact, one of the data points, we are now 39% of our population has a 4-year degree. New York is 37. LA is 33. Houston and Philly are 32 and 31 respectively. Not that I'm competitive, but that's a middle child coming out in me. We have more college educated, and in a race for talent, people are going to chase that talent, which is why we meet and always work with our universities and why I go around the country recruiting people for college kids to come here. But my goal is not just college people to come here, and that's important. That gets to training, not only our 4-year institutions, but our community colleges in the city of Chicago. We have the most diversified economy in the United States. When I became mayor, our graduation rate from the community college system was 7%, the worst in the United States. I look at all the people here. We wouldn't hire out of it. If somebody said Harold Washington, Malcolm X, it wasn't a door opener. Let's be honest. We aligned each school. Malcolm X, specialty is healthcare. Olive Harvey, transportation, distribution, logistics. Kennedy King, hospitality, culinary. Wright, IT. Harold Washington, professional services. We asked industry to come in and align what you're looking for when you hire, so the curriculum we're teaching our kids is relevant to what you're hiring. World Bank 4 years ago came and said the city of Chicago's community college system is the best college to career program in the United States of America. And my goal is to ensure that when a company's expanding or recruiting or you're looking, do I want you to hire from DePaul, Iowa, University of Michigan, Notre Dame, Northwestern, IIT? Absolutely. I also want you to look at Malcolm X, Harold Washington, and all the other schools that are part of the community college system in the city of Chicago. They just announced their graduation went from 7% up to 23%, which is now near the national norm. And we're no longer carrying up the back of the end. And the most important thing I think I've done, I would rate in the top 5 as mayor, is that if you get a B average in high school, we're the only city in the United States that provides free community college for B students in the city. And it's the only public scholarship a dreamer can get in the United States of America. That if you struggle, I firmly believe that no parent should go and get a second mortgage or a second job to give their child a chance at the American dream. And we ensure that the next 2 years are free for B students. It's called the Chicago Star Scholarship, and if you and your business don't know about it, I want you to look at it. The other piece of it is, and every one of our universities deserve applause for this, if you maintain that B average in the city of Chicago while you're at the community college system, every major institution of higher learning provides somewhere between 20 to 40% off of tuition. We have kids graduating from the city of Chicago. There's 5,400 of them. Some of them are graduating today without any debt, having gone for 4 years here in the city of Chicago, which is unique when the biggest challenge facing middle-class families is how to afford higher education. So talent, training, and through the questions I know we'll have more because I'm going to try to rush through all this. Transportation. You know about, I just want to put our aviation system. Midway is under a major expansion and modernization, $1 billion. O'Hare, we're adding the runways and modernizing the runway system by 2020. You understand it's not just modernizing them. We literally lifted Midway's capacity and moved it to O'Hare. We're the only city in the United States in the last decade that built a third airport. That's how you have to think about it. Second, because of the maneuvers, we now are adding 25 new gates, the first new gates in 3 decades. We're the only airport in the country that flies to all 6 continents, of which only 5 airports in the world do that. We're the only city in North America that United, American, and Southwest have their major operations. When we're done with the terminal work, we'll go from 4.5 million square feet to 7.2 million square feet. And we'll be the only city in the United States with a global alliance terminal, meaning that American, United, and their alliance partners will all be in the same terminal, so put your Fitbits away, you won't need it at O'Hare anymore. And with the Infrastructure Trust, which Deborah is the chair of, if we are successful, we will be building an express service from O'Hare to downtown, and ensuring that Chicago, not only with O'Hare, stays in the 21st century a global city. People can come to the world conveniently, et cetera, but you will have the option between the Blue Line, Lyft, Uber, cab, or an express rail service. And if we take the economic power of O'Hare and the economic power of our central business district and make it one space, New York, LA, London, Beijing, Berlin, watch out, Chicago's coming for you. It will be an unprecedented capacity and energy. We're also modernizing our mass transit system as somebody that uses it. 40%, you know about what we've done on the South Red Line. We're now doing that on the Red Line North, so from Howard to 95th Street will all be new, and the reason that's significant is 38% of the people that take CTA take the Red Line. And having a modern system, our on-time arrival is 97%. New York's MTA is 57%. Again, showing my middle child stripes. We're also modernizing the Union Station area. I think having a modern transportation system, whether it's aviation, bike lanes, or a mass transit system, is essential for the growth. There's a reason they're called choke points. You cannot have a 21st century economy if you don't have a 21st century foundation, both educationally and transportation. Today, you can see from the statistics, Chicago is actually the #1 city for return on venture capital. Chicago is considered by Deloitte Touche, #5 financial tech hotspot. We're investing that area with also 1871 just rated the best #1 in the world innovation space in the city in the United States of America and also in the world. And lastly, transparency, which is the fiscal side. The biggest cloud over the city of Chicago's future when I became mayor was our fiscal position. We've invested in all the other strengths that we talked about, but the other thing that I thought was important, we were operating with a major overhang, not only of our pensions, but of our fiscal picture. Almost 20% of our budget was out of whack. Not only every year did we put money back into the surplus rather than take it out, we've eliminated what is called scoop and toss, which is using one credit card to pay off the other credit card. We don't sell assets to balance the budget, eliminated that. We have no variable debt, we eliminated that. We have no swaps, we've eliminated that. Every bad habit that we inherited is gone. All 4 pensions have a dedicated revenue stream, and all 3 rating agencies have upgraded their outlook on the city of Chicago. And that, to me, is an essential point, because when you take talent, training, transportation, technology, and transparency, what are we really saying? That Chicago, in the world where you're looking for talent, where you're looking for modernization, you're looking for a public sector, we are a place of certainty in a world of uncertainty. And that's why in so many areas, from employment to corporate relocations to direct foreign investment in venture capital and technology, Chicago is a leader. And not just along the pace, setting the pace. The most important things that we are doing. 3 things I want to take away from here. When I became mayor, we had the shortest school day and the shortest school year in the United States of America. That's hard to do with 7,000 school districts across the country. Half the kids in the United States did not even have, in the city of Chicago, did not even have a full day of kindergarten. 30 years ago, William Bennett called the Chicago public school systems the worst in the United States. As you just heard from Mellody, based on George Reardon's study at Stanford, our kids now get 6 years of academic studies in only 5 years. Our graduation rate every year for the last 5 years is 3.5 times the national average. We're going from a kindergarten, high school model, now that every child for the last 4 years has full day of kindergarten, 7.5 hours. Starting this September, we're launching a 4-year, we have the money, every year we're going to go to universal, full day, free pre-K for every child in the city of Chicago, regardless of where they live. A parent's income or race should not determine whether their children get early childhood education, which is how we were set up. Second, I told you about the Chicago Star. Today, 44% of the people in the city of Chicago graduate high school, go to college. You know what the national number is? 44%. Urban school system, different demographics, matches the United States of kids going to college. Second, 21% of the kids in the city of Chicago, 20% of the kids in the city of Chicago go to community colleges. Nationally, 21%. Again, matching. Only urban school system to do it. So starting in 2019, with more counselors and advisors, when you get your high school diploma, and we're going to work with you starting your freshman year, you will have to have and show you have either a letter of acceptance from college, community college, a branch of the armed forces, or a vocational trade school. Not just our children in this room, every child in the city of Chicago will have a post-high school education plan. That ensures they have a ticket to the future, because in an era where you earn what you learn, it just can't be our children that succeed at that rules. We have to ensure every child does it. So in short, we're going from a K to 12 to a pre-K to college. 2 other points to be quick. So as Henry Kissinger used to say, does anybody have any questions for my answers? And so we go from there. He was serious, I'm joking, okay? 1, I can give you all this data. We have a unique moment in time that all of us have to seize. And what I mean by that is I don't know how long this economy lasts, and I don't know how long. I think we have good fundamentals, strong fundamentals that don't go through a business cycle, but go long term. We have to use this moment in time to get the men and women, predominantly men, who are on the street corner into the legitimate economy. If we don't seize this moment, we'll have lost another generation, and we are a better city than that. We can do better than that. So I've asked Andy Zopp, and I'm expecting everybody, since I'll get the list of who's here, I expect all of you to participate, at World Business Chicago to organize a series of services with companies that are hiring to ensure we'll provide training, whether it's Skills Chicago, Community College, or Chicago Cook County Workforce, to whoever is on the street corner but wants to join the legitimate economy. We will figure out the training, and we will match you up. When I became mayor, people were looking for work. Today I stand in front of you, companies are looking for workers. That's a big difference. Let us not look back at this window as a city and have lost this opportunity to get people who don't want to be where they are. Doesn't mean everybody wants to, but there are people there. They're doing this out of economics, not out of a lifestyle. Let us collectively as a city take these numbers and move them to the south side and the west side. Make people who are on the outside part of the inside. Make people who see a city that's on the move and have it part of their lives. Yesterday I was at an L at Roosevelt, and this gentleman who cleans up the Roosevelt station said, I want to thank you for the Second Chance program at CTA. It's the largest in the United States at a whopping 350, which is not really good, but it's the biggest, which tells you. And he said, if it wasn't for the Second Chance, I'd go back when I got out, back to the streets. He's now working for the CTA for 5 straight years. Let us collectively, as a city, set a goal, use this window of time, this wind at our back. Whoever wants to be swept up in the success of our city, our doors are open, our hands are open, and we're ready to meet them where they are. That would make this moment in time not be counted by cranes, but counted by lives as a city. And that would be worthy of a city that makes no little plans. Thank you.